Imagine a work of art that could turn a horrible tragedy into a cause for celebration. That's just what the world's first child abuse monument is designed to do. The memorial features the work of hundreds of Canadian child abuse survivors on the outside as well as in the hollow inside. It's an ambitious undertaking, but one that is making a huge impact on the participants.
My child, your young hand, my old one join. Tears flow between you and me. No help for the helpless, our fingers interlock. Grief-stricken, tears bridge the gap between the years. Swallowing back those losses, I feel your young presence, your spirit in this hand.
We are all different, but the same in a way, and you may be bigger, but you should not hurt us.
We need the justice system to stamp on their feet. Bring back the child we love so deep. Do not ignore our cry for help. Help us heal our wounded heart.
Child abuse has claimed many souls, and we want them back. And are any of these souls yours?
I got involved in the idea of making a monument to child abuse, in part being a survivor of child abuse myself, and being an artist and a sculptor and a psychotherapist. Almost every session where I saw and listened to people's stories, the idea of the function and role of memorial and the experience of child abuse were just so interrelated. And then in 1990, I was in Washington, and I saw the Vietnam War Memorial, and that week I decided to make a child abuse memorial. I think the power of the Vietnam War Memorial is that it's so personal, and it does that through the role of the names. So looking for some function that allowed it to be personal, we came across the hand. And so that has become the theme, using a survivor's hand, the cast of their hand, and then whatever writing or artwork they want to put on that quilt square.
Initially, coming here, the floodgates opened and I went to the police and after 22 years and disclosed to the police for the first time publicly what had happened. I told some close friends and relatives and finally told the police, and then at that point I started looking for whatever I could do to make things better in my life, and I just luckily found this. It's given me a sense of belonging, a great sense of community.
I came forward 2 years ago with the Maple Leaf Gardens story, and it deeply affected me, and it was a first step in meeting Michael Irving and finally acknowledging what had happened to me. For a few years now, I've really thought about it and didn't want to speak about it. And now I'm finding speaking and through this art form and with my hand has really taught me not to hide it and be ashamed of what happened, because it wasn't my fault. I wrote a saying on there: we have to listen, we have to act, protect our children, that's all we ask. And I have 2 beautiful children, and this is all part of one step towards a great big mountain of hope, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Okay, now let me show you. Come up from there and just go straight down. We were looking at ways to involve other people in the community, and we had some kids in and they drew some hands. And quite quickly the idea struck on, and the poignant and powerful words that the children were saying were important to have. So we've gone into school classrooms, and the kids' hands are totally amazing.
Now let's suppose they take the monument apart and they look inside and they read the messages that you wrote inside. What do you think might surprise kids? Michael Irving said to the kids, you know, let's talk about how we feel, with the hope that maybe in the future when kids read this, they'll say, physical abuse? What is that? Children were abused at some point? And so it was kind of interesting for the kids to actually look to the future and say, we can make a change here.
Physical injuries last a long time, but emotional injuries last longer.
My father was abused and I wasn't, and that the cycle stopped. And in this family line, it will never start again.
I think the statue itself can't say stop child abuse, and I think that's going to take a while, but I hope it's going to happen soon because it's a horrible thing.
On each monument figure, there's 150 squares. So between the two figures, there's 300 squares. 204 are sculpted by survivors. 72 are made by children from across Canada. And then on the inside of the monument is up to 1 million hands by parents and friends and people from the community, and just anybody who wants to bring a hand to one of our exhibitions or mail us a hand here in Toronto. People in corporate suits come in and look at the monument, and they are touched by the stories, and people often cry, but it's a celebratory cry as opposed to a sadness or a loss. It's like the beauty of humanity is coming through.
I carefully step where not before have I tread, with signposts of slow, walk and run looming ahead. I'm testing the waters with my newfound wings, knowing that life's full of bruises and stings. I'll keep my head high and let my hope soar. Life can be joyous, I want that and more.